Posted by you/unhappy_voice_3978. I have been married to my husband for 6 years. We have 2 kids together, 8M and 4M. Our youngest has special needs. My husband also has a daughter, 12F, from his previous relationship. My husband's ex has had primary custody. My husband gets his daughter on weekends and alternating holidays/birthdays. This past weekend, my stepdaughter asked my husband if she could come live with him full-time. Her mom recently moved in with her fiancé and his kids, and there has been some friction with that from what I understand. Nothing nefarious, just a new house, new rules, having to share a bedroom, etc. My husband didn't give her an answer either way. He said he would look into it. When he and I were discussing it, I had the following objections. 1. My stepdaughter and our kids do not get along. It is something we have worked on for years, in and out of therapy, and it just isn't happening. My stepdaughter resents mine for existing and is cruel toward my youngest because of their disabilities. There have been issues with her bullying. My oldest is very protective of his little brother and hates my stepdaughter for being mean to him. He has started physical altercations with her over it. The truth is that most of the time we have my stepdaughter, I make arrangements to take the boys to visit their grandparents, or my husband takes her out of the house for daddy-daughter time to avoid conflict. I cannot imagine how living together full-time would be for them. 2. We really don't have room. We have a 4-bedroom home. Both my husband and I work from home so we can be caretakers for my youngest. Due to the nature of his disabilities, it is really not feasible for him and my oldest to share a room. It wouldn't be safe or fair for my oldest. My stepdaughter's room is used as my work-from-home office space during the week. I arrange my vacation time and whatnot around her visitation so I can stay out of her space while she is here. I have to take very sensitive phone calls, and I need a closed door when I work, so common areas are out, and my husband uses our bedroom as his home office, so that's out too. We don't currently have room in the budget to make an addition to the house or remodel non-livable spaces at the moment. My husband hears my objections and understands them, but he wants to go for it and figures that everything will eventually work out. He doesn't want his daughter to think he is abandoning her. And I feel for the girl. It would be awful for your dad to say no when you ask if you can live with him. But I have my own kids to think about too, and I just do not believe that her living here is in their best interest at all, considering their history and our current living arrangements. Does saying no to this put me in evil stepmom territory? Edit. For those who want to paint me as a horrible homewrecker along with being an evil stepmom, sorry to disappoint, but we did not have an affair. My husband and my stepdaughter's mom were never married and never in a relationship. They were friends with benefits. They bartended together, would hang out, and would sometimes get drunk and hook up. My husband claims he needed beer goggles because she really isn't his type. When my stepdaughter's mom found out she was pregnant, she told my husband she was keeping the baby and asked if he wanted to be involved in the child's life. They never lived together, except for a few weeks during the newborn stage to help out. Yes, I had my first child before I married my husband. We were in a long-term relationship when I had a birth control malfunction. My husband and I discussed what we wanted to do, and we both decided we wanted to raise the child. A few days later, my husband proposed. I wanted to take time to recover from birth and wait until our kiddo was old enough to be left with the grandparents for the week so my husband and I could enjoy our wedding. We didn't get married until my oldest was 2. Edit. Regarding my youngest son's disabilities, my stepdaughter's bullying, and my oldest starting fights, since there's a lot of projection and speculation, my youngest son has both physical and mental disabilities. He uses multiple kinds of medical and therapy equipment. My stepdaughter has shoved him out of his wheelchair, pinched him hard enough to leave bruises, and hit his face when he was having trouble verbalizing. I don't care if this is considered normal sibling behavior, it's alarming enough to me that I believe it's best for my youngest to spend as little time as possible with her until this behavior completely stops. I will say it has lessened quite a bit. We went through a period where it happened frequently, but it has slowed. The last incident was 2 months ago when my stepdaughter grabbed my son's wheelchair and aggressively pushed him out of her way because he was blocking the hallway. One of the times my son started an altercation with my stepdaughter was because she had told him that his brother was not a real person, and that she was going to call the hospital to have him taken away so they could perform experiments to find out what he was. She went into detail about things they would do to him, like ripping his fingernails out. Understandably, my son lost his temper and hit her. My son was immediately disciplined, loss of tablet time, and we had an age-appropriate discussion about how, while his heart is in the right place for wanting to protect his little brother, he needs to find an adult when something like that happens. This was not made up. My stepdaughter admitted she said it when my husband was able to sit her down and talk with her later that day. I am not allowed to discipline or have parenting talks with my stepdaughter per her mom's wishes. I'm not welcome to be a part of my stepdaughter's therapy journey, mostly due to her mom's wishes. She does not want me involved. My husband has always been worried about rocking the boat with her mom on these matters. So, I do not know the extent of the therapeutic treatments my stepdaughter has received. I do know that she goes to therapy during the week, and my husband has attended sessions, but it isn't something he is free to discuss with me. So, I am in the dark about that. Commenter. My concern would be why she wants to leave. Is there more to this story? If she wants to leave because of abuse or neglect, then while her moving in may not be a permanent solution, doing nothing would make you the problem. That being said, if she wants to leave for something minor, like not being allowed to stay up late on a weekend, then the biological parents need to have a sit down and sort it out. Ops response. She is upset that she has to share a room with her soon-to-be stepsister, who is moving out in the fall and just needs it for weekends home and holiday breaks. Bio mom and her partner decided that all kids will follow the same set of rules in their household, so she has new limitations on screen time and more household responsibilities. Nothing nefarious like abuse or neglect. Update 6 days later. So last week, my husband and I sat down together and talked about my stepdaughter coming to live with us full-time and how that would work out. It was a difficult discussion because, as some Redditors had suggested, I really pushed hard for him to think things through and figure out the obstacles. Where would he and I work? Common areas are out due to the nature of our jobs. I can't use them due to employer restrictions, and he does some adult things in his work that we don't want the kids to see. How are we going to handle the animosity and bullying between the kids? What consequences would be in place? We talked about what expectations would be for my stepdaughter living here full-time versus just on weekends, and how she probably has unrealistic expectations about what day-to-day life here is really like. We talked through every possibility we could come up with, including out there ideas like selling our home or separating our household and living apart for a while. We even ran the numbers to see how it might affect our finances. Ultimately, we agreed that the answer was not yet, with the goal of working toward making it happen in the future. We decided that the best course of action would be to slowly adjust the amount of time she spends in our home, rather than a sudden custody switch. So on Friday night, my husband took my stepdaughter out to talk to her about everything. He explained that she wouldn't have her own room at our place for a couple of years, but that it's something at the top of our list for home improvements once our youngest handicap accessibility renovations are paid off. He talked to her about what the expectations of living with us would be, including that she would have chores and responsibilities. Most importantly, they discussed the bullying and laid down the condition that we needed to see an improvement in her relationship and attitude toward her brothers before she could live here full-time. My stepdaughter obviously wasn't thrilled about any of this, but she said okay and that she would do better with her brothers. So on Saturday, I made arrangements for my parents to watch our sons, and we invited my stepdaughter's mom over so we could all sit down and figure out how she could start spending more time here. And that's when it all fell apart. Her mom is most definitely not okay with a change in custody at all. Her answer was a firm absolutely not. She took my stepdaughter home early on Saturday. My husband tried to reach out to my stepdaughter on Sunday to see how she was doing and ask if she wanted to do their guitar lesson over Skype or something, since her mom took her home early, but she never responded. He called her mom, who informed him that my stepdaughter had lost her phone privileges. So, we don't really know what's going on with all that. Edit. It turns out she threw her phone at her mom's face, hitting her and cracking the screen. Her mom isn't giving it back until my stepdaughter has paid off the deductible. We do have alternative forms of contact with her at this time. Also, no, my stepdaughter's mom didn't come to us first about the custody change. My stepdaughter asked the weekend before last if she could live with us because she and her mom recently moved in with her mom's partner. My husband told her that we would need to discuss it and figure out if it was a possibility. We didn't talk to her mom until we knew what our answer was. As soon as her mom found out my stepdaughter wanted to spend more time with us, she shut it down immediately. I know a lot of people have been speculating that my stepdaughter may be abused, and I understand the concern, as it can happen to anyone. However, I don't have any reason to believe that is happening here. And for those curious, my husband does video editing for various clients, including those in the adult film industry. They send him raw footage, and he creates saleable videos and teaser trailers for them. He also edits YouTube videos, special event videos, and even local commercials. The way we see it, everyone's money is spent the same. One day he edits a commercial for the local church's annual yard sale, and the next, an adult video. We just have to be careful about when and where he edits the adult content so none of the kids walk in on him. We make sure he only does that work when I'm not working, so he can stay behind a locked door with headphones on. Second update 2 months later. My husband has a daughter from before our relationship, and we also have 2 children of our own, one of whom is severely disabled. He and his daughter's biological mom never had a formal custody arrangement, but due to some recent drama and changes, it became clear that we needed to get something formal and court-ordered in place. So we consulted an attorney. During that process, we discovered that my husband wasn't listed on the birth certificate. We had paternity testing done. My husband is not the biological father. He is absolutely devastated. He's spiraling, hurting so much, and I can't do anything to take his pain away. We've hugged and cried together so many times this week. He's not okay. He's flip-flopping between despair and anger, and the anger scares me. His knuckles are all messed up from punching something. He wouldn't talk to me about what happened. Everything is falling apart at home. My husband is in no state to be a father or partner right now. I sent our oldest to my sisters, but my youngest is having a really bad week with his medical issues. I think he's picking up on the stress and mood of the house. We had to go to the ER last night due to increased seizure activity. When I came home, my husband was drunk. He became belligerent and demanded that I have our sons tested too. He didn't even ask how our son was doing. I was so pissed off, but I held my tongue and walked out of the room. I left a few Gatorades and some aspirin next to him after he passed out. I'm trying to get him in to see a therapist, but no luck so far. We haven't told my stepdaughter or her mom yet. We've already skipped one of our regularly scheduled visitations with her, and another is coming up soon. So that needs to be dealt with ASAP. I just don't know what to do. I'm so afraid right now. I don't know how much longer I can hold things together. I want off this ride. Third update 2 months later. I had a couple of people asking if I would update and let you all know how my husband is doing now that we're a couple of months out from our D-Day. Some things are better, and others are a hell of a lot worse. Not long after I posted, my husband and I had the biggest, most full-blown, drawn-out fight of our entire relationship. I honestly can't even tell you how it started. It was one of those little things that just triggered everything, and all the stress, anger, resentment, and other negative emotions we've been feeling were completely taken out on each other. Afterward, I took the kids and left. I refused to come home until my husband got his head out of his rear and talked to someone about all of this. The silver lining to the blowout was that it did spur my husband on to start dealing with everything. He has seen his doctor, been prescribed medication, and has been looking for a therapist. He did a session with one but didn't particularly click with them. He's going to pursue others as our finances allow. My husband and I discussed his drunken demand for paternity testing. I was able to express how hurtful that was to me. He fully apologized and has decided he does not need to have our sons tested right now. We've discussed options for what we'll do if doubt continues to linger on his part, but for now, no testing is being done. We're both trying our best to show each other grace on this matter. The hell of a lot worse part is what's going on with my stepdaughter. My husband had to take a few weeks without visitation to get his emotions under control. Then we had our typical weekend visit. We haven't told my stepdaughter or her mom about the test results yet, as we're still considering our options for the next move. My husband ultimately decided that he still wanted a relationship with his daughter and still wanted to pursue legal custody. The attorney we consulted suggested that, given our state's laws and the established parental relationship, we should have a claim and could likely get court-ordered partial custody, but it would be a more complicated legal case. That was all fine, but my husband, in a very boneheaded move, didn't play his cards close enough to his chest with his daughter's mom. Several weeks ago, they had a verbal altercation. Since then, we have not been able to get in contact with her fiancé, or my stepdaughter. We contacted the police, but they told us this was a civil matter and that we needed to go through the courts, so no help there. Sorry, I wish I had a happier update or more of an update in general. Commenter. What about his mental health? Shouldn't that matter to you? The paternity test would ease his mind and stress. You know you didn't cheat, so it shouldn't be as bad as you make it. Ops response. It may ease his mind and stress, but then I'm in a marriage with a man I feel doesn't trust me, which will put my mind into a spiral, stress me out, and make me second-guess our entire marriage. We are husband and wife. One of us doesn't get to pursue a course of action for their peace of mind that causes the other to go into a tailspin. We can have the tests done once we have some extra money, but only if my husband is willing to do counseling with me about it. That's the only way I see it happening without it destroying our marriage.